Hi, it's Martin Perhiniak. Welcome back to PSD Tuts Plus and the Shortcut series. Today I'm going to continue talking about the retouch tools. And if you joined me last time, you remember that we defined the differences between these three main retouch tools. The Spot Healing Brush tool, which is great for getting rid of small details. The Clone Stamp tool, which just copy and pastes, and the Healing Brush tool, which also blends in the sample details into its new environment. Today I'm going to try to get rid of this lamppost here, combining these tools, and also using selections together with the retouch tools. So just like before, I am working on the retouch layer, and I'm going to first start with the Clone Stamp tool. So I select the Clone Stamp tool, keyboard shortcut is S for this, and I have the sample option on all layers and the align option turned on. So let me just zoom closer, and I am going to start here at the bottom because that seems to be a bit more easier. So let me just make sampling, and I always sample from an edge. In this case, I'm going to sample from this edge here. Alt click there or option click, and then I align my sampling to the part which I want to get rid of and draw over it, and I've got rid of it very quickly. I can go up and down, and you can see my reference point follows my drawing, so it makes it very easy. And the only problem is probably here. I duplicated a standout detail, this darker part of the roof. Things like this you need to make sure won't happen when you're doing retouching, because it's very easy to spot these. So I'm going to alt click again on the roof, again on an edge, and then I draw over that detail. Okay, so now it's better, and maybe now I can switch to the Healing Brush tool and just draw over a little bit here. So I alt click and draw over this part just to blend some details into it to make sure that no one can see it, that part has been retouched. So I used first the Clone Stamp tool, and then I just went over the details again with the Healing Brush tool. Now I go further down here, and again I start with the Clone Stamp tool, and I alt click here on the bench. Once again I clicked on an edge, so like an edge detail, which is easy to find. And then I click on this part here on the right, and I can go down, and thanks to the image everything's aligned, so I can easily go down, and then I can easily go up as well. The only problem, it wasn't aligned perfectly in this case, so I'm going to alt click on the edge again, align it to the edge of the bench, and then go up. So now it works much better, and I got rid of it completely here, at least here on the bottom part. So let me just show you. If I turn it off and on, it looks as if it was never there. So, okay, that was quite easy. Now comes the more difficult part. First, the head of this lamppost. Okay, so this one, once again, something we can get rid of with the Clone Stamp tool, but again we have to make sure we sample from the best point on the image. So sampling from an edge, just like before. In this case I am going to sample in the cross section of the red and yellow brick and the sky. So this point here, alt click there to sample, and then I try to set my sampling in a correct position here probably. And I start drawing to the right to get rid of this detail, and I keep an eye on my reference point there on the top. There's that little cross, and I make sure I don't go too further away, because then it will start sampling from this window, which I don't want to. And then I just continue drawing, and because I had my align option on, I can let go my brush and continue drawing, because the reference point will keep the distance from the original sampling. Okay, so I did quite a good retouch very easily. So if I turn it off and on, it looks really good. And all I did was just simply one sampling. I can draw this part over a bit as well. Now I can continue drawing over these parts with the Clone Stamp tool, which I can already start doing. Okay, so I just go over these details, the Clone Stamp tool. I just simply draw it, because with the aligned option You can see my reference point is following my brush, so I don't need to do much in this case. Just simply draw over these details. But you can tell that the result is not perfect. So this part here looks darker, which we just drawn over with the clone stamp tool. So we have to do something with this. Now what I usually do is I use the healing brush after I went through a detail like this with the clone stamp tool. So I got rid of the most complicated element, and then I can go over these details with the healing brush tool. You can also find sometimes difficult that there are some parts which you want to keep, like the bricks, intact. Make sure that you don't draw over them and still use the clone stamp tool. Like here, we can still see those bright details. The best way to get rid of those is to make a selection. I'm going to use the pen tool, and I just draw over these parts. I just simply click, 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 but the problem is I created not a path, but a shape. I'm going to switch to path mode with the pen tool, because that's what I'm going to need for this. And I just draw over these details, just quickly. I show it in a small part of the image. Okay, I make a selection like that. Okay, and above this it looks better anyway. So I'm going to just finish drawing it. When I press Command Enter, even without finishing my selection, I can turn the pen tool's path into a selection. And then I can switch back to my clone stamp tool, and again sampling from here and draw over these details. And now, because I have a selection, it works like a mask. I can draw over these parts and make sure that I'm not drawing over details that I don't want to. So I can still see the bricks, and if I get rid of my selection, you see that those parts are now blended into much better than before. So this was before. If I go back a couple of steps, it's actually quite hard to see it. Let me just go forward and turn off the layer. So you can see it was much brighter, and then we use the clone stamp tool to blend it in. Okay, and we can also correct this line here at the bottom, again using the clone stamp tool, align to the edge, and then draw it over. I'm just going to start drawing it from here and go to the right. It would be better to sample from here and just correct that line to make it straight. Now it's almost perfect, but still we can see a distinct edge here in the middle, so we will still have to work on this. And now is the time to switch to the healing brush tool. Okay, and we can even use the spot healing brush tool in this case, so we don't even have to sample. We can just draw over the edge of that part. Okay, sometimes we have to draw over it a couple of times just to get rid of these problems, but we can always use the healing brush tool if we are not, if we don't want to do it automatically. We can always set the sampling point. So by sampling, again, do the same thing as the clone stamp tool did, but draw over the edge. We can blend the retouch part into the original parts of the wall. So that's the very effective way of combining these two tools together. And now, as you can see, it's almost perfect. Maybe we can go over it a couple of times just to make it even better, the details, something like that. And now, if I turn the retouch layer on and off, you can hardly tell that there was anything originally there. So all the way at the bottom and the top, it's almost completely perfect and unnoticeable that we did a retouch there. So remember, combining these tools, the clone stamp, healing brush, and spot healing brush tool, and maybe even combine it together with selections, you can get the best results in no time. But there are still more things to learn about the retouch tools. So next time I'm going to talk about the clone source panel. In this panel we have so many options, and I would like to make sure you understand how to use these and make the most of them. Thanks a lot for your attention today. I hope you will join me next time as well.